The time has come. Your woman is being wedded to another man. But before we can get to that, the whole crew of ReZero's Avengers assemble with the OP Rhyme Me Harder man, the sadistic pleasures of Lick My Feet Priscilla, and a host of other very crucial allies that will send these Sith archbishops to their graves. It is the very last episode of peak optimism that all of our heroes will stop these heinous villains. But one thing they might not be able to stop is... For this video, we're going to be covering ReZero Season 3, Episode 8, Itsuka Suki ni Naru Hito. Welcome to the finale of the first half of ReZero Season 3. It really is the peak crescendo of optimism, and it's the start of where we can actually start seeing the allies accumulating some dubs. But before we can get to the most satisfying part of the episode, relevant characters and relevant parts of the plot must be shored up. And so, let's get right into it. The episode starts off with Reinhard being present. Subaru's probability of winning has went from 0.01% to 99.99%. Everyone squats back up in the meeting room with Julius, Anastasia, Rhyme Me Hard, Gorgeous Tiger, the mid MC, and etc. to discuss the witch's cult's demands of obtaining the witch's remains, obtaining the Tome of Wisdom, the artificial spirit, and NTRing Amelia. While they discuss everything we already know, but with all the characters now all caught up, Otto pulls the "I'm actually pretty important to the plot" card as he tells everyone he brought the Tome of Wisdom to Priscilla. The episode just opens up to show that the plot of why it is that much more important. Clearly, the witch's cult want something, and they want certain things for a particular purpose that we are yet to know what the context of that is just yet. And it's been 2.5 seasons now. We've really been in the dark for this long without knowing the entire main plot of ReZero, of what the villains want. However, what their demands are and what it does for the story leads us to identify where all the possible tensions within the plot may come from, where our heroes may lose something that, most importantly, that we as the viewers deem very important to us. The Witch's Remains gives us insight into the Witch's cult's overall scheme of what that would actually entail, where that might lead them to what end goal there is that they're after. It also will unlock a lot more about the ReZero lore. Beatrice, being the artificial spirit, contains a lot of mystery with her character as well, behind what the meaning is behind her existence. And now that we have this special relationship in the contract between Subaru and Beatrice, in the same way Amelia has her contract with Puck, young Betty is a character that I think most of us are fond of, and to lose something like her character would be a big loss. And of course, we got that disgusting NTR situation going on that's really gonna leave a bad taste in someone's mouth. And so that leads us to Otto and the Tome of Wisdom, which early on kind of seems like a throwaway demand, even though it already has that important connection to the witch's cult of basically predicting the future. But with the Tome of Wisdom, what it brings to the story is similar to the witch's remains. We don't know whose remains are in Priscilla, and we don't know what is inside of the Tome of Wisdom that only Roswell would know. So the past few episodes has really just been realigning all of these very important plot elements. And like all the episodes before, let it cook as it's getting ready for everyone to counterattack the Sith archbishops. As explained many times before, the Tome of Wisdom is the prototype of the Gospels, like in the witch's cult. Just like Roswell and Beatrice Tome of Wisdoms that were burned, it looks like Otto, who later explains to Subaru in a private chit-chat that he snatched up Roswell's burning Tome of Wisdom, and during the time Otto went MIA this season, he was actually trying to have someone help restore the book. The reason Otto doesn't really explain, as it pertains only to the Amelia Subaru camp. Ricardo points out the obvious that the cult basically wants everything that Subaru has, but what the cult doesn't know that Subaru has is Liliana just barges in out of nowhere like this isn't some super secret mission to save the lives of Lugunica and Priscilla. But I guess an artist's mind works in wild ways when inspiration of a disaster helps your creativity juices make #1 hits. And of course, who else would be accompanying her to show the plebs, the peasants, who the real ruler of Lugunica will be? It is Kiss My Feet Priscilla! When a princess reveals herself, it's only natural that men will flock to her. So Al comes to greet her in ultimate delight, only to find violence. Who could have seen this coming from a sadistic person that dwells in the pleasure of other people's misery, but with altruistic intentions? With that smack, Priscilla takes down Al and the people's songstress. She brings up the frustration that her knight is playing hero with the plebs while she had to go find shoots alone. Priscilla is impressed by Subaru's unimpressive yet effective speech over the broadcast in the prior episode, due to the results of uplifting the people's spirits over Sirius's rat's authority. She shall now grace the lowly peasants of her presence. Kiss My Feet Priscilla asserts herself into the counterattack meeting and has the lowlings provide her the details that we already know. Like in the previous episode, Al is quite weary of the witch's cult. But like in the previous episode, with all the people of Priscilla, Priscilla tells Al, I ain't no pussy. Otto is an excellent negotiator, meaning he knows when the other side is being deceptive. So Otto and Subaru go in the hallway to have a private chit chat. Otto has never trusted Margrave Matters, aka Roswell. So that is why he snagged up the Tome of Wisdom before it was too late to see what was inside the contents of that book himself. Even though Subaru and Emilia have let his wanting to do whatever it takes to make out with Eknidona again, Otto, as the internal affairs officer, is still internally disturbed by Roswell, seeing that he's been seeing him for the past year, and seeing that the Tome of Wisdom could have helped Roswell prepare even further ahead that they are even aware of. Otto felt the need to eliminate another incident where Subaru must choose again to try to be in this heroic delusion. Like in the previous episode, Al serves as like an extension of Roswell's understanding of reality, that one must accept sacrifices to achieve one's ultimate goal. Playing the hero that saves everyone is a high percentage chance of dying and losing it all completely. Otto apologizes to Subaru for his servitude of Emilia and Subaru's best interest in acting alone. Subaru is quite the understanding person and gets practical as to what they will do with the restoration of the Tome of Wisdom. Otto himself will continue to handle that portion of the plot as Subaru ponders what their next moves will be in taking back the control towers occupied by the Sin Archbishops. Just as Subaru is still concerned and racking his brain over how to handle the Sin Archbishops, Otto, like Anastasia in the last episode, likes a good pounding. And so Otto lifts his fist to pound one for friendship, trust, and a boost of morale. I mean, who else brought Rhyme Me Harder to come save the day? When there are this many characters in ReZero, it's always interesting to see who will have a role and where in the story it would really matter for them. Like Roswell, Ram, Frederica, and the others who are totally omitted from this arc. Characters like the furry munchkins played a minor role in the early battles, along with Beatrice, in terms of what purpose they served in the story. The opposite can be said about Otto. He was MIA during the first battles, but now during this counterattack, he becomes a very crucial character. I really do love animes that build pretty good lore, but most importantly, they build characters that we really care about. It's been almost 3 whole seasons now, right? And we barely know what the villains, what their end goal is. But most importantly, the plot itself and what the characters are going through is what keeps the entire story very fun to watch. So having a big roster of characters that really matter and characters that have personalities that really distinguish themselves with their own personal interests. It just makes the story that much more compelling, and it makes it feel like the world is a lot bigger. So although right now, having a place within the story that matters a lot feels like a really good payoff. Look who comes walking down after letting Crusch-sama, Felix, and his wife down. Was that too harsh? Wilhelm comes down to fetch Subaru since Crusch wants to see Subaru after waking up, moved by his super mid speech. Lust's dragon blood has almost taken over Crusch's body whole, and Subaru has that stank face on. It looks like Lust is correct that something that turns ugly cannot be loved the same way again. Just when Subaru tries to show support and touches her hand, in a surprising turn of events, the dragon blood somewhat transferred to Subaru is a shock of pain. While Felix quickly heals him up, she is deeply saddened by the fact that she touches Crusch and it doesn't do anything to help her. This whole scene is like the "I'll suck the poison out of you" trope, as the story finds a heroic way for Subaru to be useful other than dying, and puts his hand on Crusch's face and absorbs all the dragon blood from her head into his body. Just as Crusch's face clears up from the veiny dragon blood, she stops Subaru short from taking on too much, as he strips half naked to show how badly his body turned into the disgusting looking part of his leg. Like a ruler that sees the big picture, the Valkyrie Crusch has the foresight to see that if Subaru and Crusch are unable to fight, it will be useless for the entire story and will hinder their end goal anyways. Although Subaru wants to do the right thing to try to take away as much of the dragon blood away from Crusch as possible, Crusch tells Subaru, "Tell me you ain't no pussy." And so Subaru takes it upon himself, like in season 1, where he needed to do everything by himself and take on everyone's responsibilities. He tells Crusch-sama, "I ain't no pussy, and I got this." As Subaru takes his leave to be a man that ain't no pussy, he tells Felix, "We need you too." However, this fake furry man woman only wants to save Crusch so he can one day Crusch her. But Felix realizes that he too must do what's best for the people and try to heal everyone that make their way back to HQ. Like what I mentioned about the Munchkins and Beatrice, Crusch seems like to be that same character that played a bigger role early on, who seems to be like they are going to be omitted in the counterattack, as she can only just focus on surviving. Her character might have been the most dire throughout this first half of season 3, especially after the fact that Emilia in the story had more leeway, as it showed more and more of her taking control of her situation, and who isn't being destroyed by NTR-like actions, like being assaulted and being forced to do very unsavory, impure actions. That dire situation that seemed to be for Crusch's character, this scene really gave us that relief that her situation is salvageable, with Subaru literally sucking the dragon blood out of her. That gives us hope and relieves a lot of the pain for her character. Right now, it doesn't seem like her character, nothing too bad will happen to her. So the crescendo of continued optimism, hope, setting up a heroic end is slowly falling into place, where it felt like it was the most bleak in the story. Wilhelm gives his thanks to Subaru, but notices, yikes! As Wilhelm and Subaru take their walk, Wilhelm starts to inform Subaru about the identity of the two masked cultists. One of them is the 8-armed Kurgan, who is Wallachia Empire's Saikyo no Kenshi. The other masked cultist is his wife, Teresa von Austria. We got ourselves a forbidden jitsu situation with some scumbag during the demi-human war decades ago. Someone is using corpse manipulation jitsu, and those affected are called the corpse soldiers. We have a continued backstory of the Austria family subplot lore. He forbids Subaru to tell Reinhard about the cultist being his grandmother's corpse. The master swordman divine protection is slightly different from the other protections, as it is inherited through the Austria family after someone's death. It'd be a hard pill to swallow for Reinhard, and the fact that Wilhelm had been a total dick to his grandson about it. Subaru mentions that they have no way to find out where those 2 corpse soldiers will appear, but Wilhelm is absolutely certain that his wife's corpse will come find him. It transitions back to the meeting with Anastasia and Priscilla slightly bickering. Priscilla will lead a squad to fight Sirius herself, along with Liliana, who will sing her way into disarming her angry authority over the people. Hold up, Reinhard is blessed as a mother bleeper. Bro closed his eyes and the gods blessed him with the divine protection of judgment. He can totally see things that the plebs cannot, but can he see these unseen hands? Reinhard can see a person's divine protection by just simply looking at them. In a surprising discovery, he can see Liliana has the divine protection of telepathy, which makes total sense for her ability to get people to feel groovy. Reinhard never thought of jamming to some #1 hits as being a heroic weapon. And Liliana pulls a Subaru from the previous episode of not being able to step up to the plate, but leave it to Priscilla to run some reverse psychology on Liliana and attacks her ancestry. Her resolve, saying that when people need you the most to drop another banger, you gonna just fold just like Al. Liliana finds her pride and accepts Priscilla's reverse psychology to go with her to fight some serious wrath. Then we move on to Lust in the 1st district, where there might be some Maju, some flies, those 2 corpse soldiers, and Capella. Subaru suggests to send the gorgeous Tiger and Wilhelm to handle Capella to Garfield's discontent, as he wants to be with Subaru to help save Amelia. However, Subaru knows that Garfield, deep down, wants to exact his revenge for the gorgeous Mimi. While Reinhard and Wilhelm briefly disagree with each other, it only makes sense who Subaru will go with to make sure we get our 100% assured dub. And that is Reinhard von Austria. Reinhard will accompany Subaru to take down that NTR son of a bitch. Even the gorgeous Tiger pleads to the man that literally gave him PTSD and made him question his manhood. Asks Reinhard to help our MC save himself from being NTR'd. Like how the previous couple of episodes have been building upon this crescendo of hope, optimism, and trust, it is that trust, for better or worser, the outcome that is always the best option to maximize their odds of their mission success. Subaru will act like the 0.01% of Reinhard's 99.99% of the carrying that he will do in this upcoming battle. Where Reinhard will do all the heavy lifting, Subaru will do all the little things to work as an unequal team. Last but not least, Julius and Ricardo will be handling gluttony, while Felix and Anastasia will be chilling at the headquarters, providing healthcare and some guidance. The scene ends with Subaru's fist bump to the heavens. And now we are at the peak of the episode. As a climactic plot point, it is time of the wedding. And so the NTR begins. Number 79 is dressed ready to be smashed by Regulus as he goes on his long-winded, villainous monologue, while all the harem watches on in tonal brainwash trauma bonding. Number 79 is a special wife number for Regulus, as it was supposed to be another woman that seemed perfect for his greed. However, he was like, nah, I'm going to NTR another guy instead. That is where Amelia appeared out of nowhere, and so his greed started to take action. Before number 79 weds Regulus, 79 has some words of wisdom for him, and this shocks the entire harem. Regulus is still feeling fancy and tells her that he also has some words for her. And Regulus goes first and uses his control to tell 79 that after marrying him, I ain't letting my wife turn ugly by letting her face wrinkle from a smile. He grabs Amelia's face and tells her no laughing, no crying, no getting angry, and absolutely no happiness. It's all for appearance and for the perfected beauty of a straight face. 79 smacks Regulus's hand out of the way, and Regulus, still blinded by his greed, can't see what's happening here as he questions if she has an issue with him. Regulus starts to get manospherically angry at one of his future wives. 79 hits him with the fact that marriage is supposed to be about love, compassion, and happiness. She asks Regulus about why he numbers his wives. Regulus tells 79 that wives with names is shallow. 79 hits him again with the Uno reverse NTR. I like it when Subaru calls me nicknames like Amelia Town. Nicknames is a form of expressing his love for her, and greed is having all types of regret that he should have done more than take a part of that mid-MC's leg. When being called just Amelia, moisture. She knows Subaru is ripe with blood flowing down his pants. However, it looks like Regulus isn't even aware of who Subaru is and finds this disgusting that his future wife right before him, that she's talking about a man that is so mid. But no, 79 knows Subaru way more intimately than Regulus can ever, as he is her one and only knight who gives her respect by calling her name Amelia, and shows that by calling her Amelia how much closer he feels with her. The entire harem feels the tension like this isn't their first rodeo, and he does what every controlling, despicable man would do: threaten them. The greed is getting too blinding as he threatens Amelia to make sure she chooses her words carefully before kaboom! With Regulus's hands in front of number 184's face, getting ready to blow another wife into smithereens before being replaced again. Amelia stands strong and tall and tells him that marriage is for when a man and a woman actually love each other. She spills her true feelings out about Subaru, although Amelia can't reciprocate just yet equally to Subaru's love for her, as she doesn't fully understand what true love is actually like. At the same time, she doesn't want to deny him either, as she works through her feelings until she is truly ready for love for the right person. Even though this indecision and feelings for Subaru isn't complete just yet, and that it can make him suffer in the meantime while she's wishy-washy. While she eventually feels what true love is, that might not even be Subaru, she knows that she will fall in love with someone someday. But it seems like she already knows who that someone might already be. Of course, this is the peak display of a woman's wishy-washiness that gives a man the ultimate blue balls. But that's why Subaru is a gentleman. And all of the Subaru talk gets Regulus progressively angrier and angrier as she tells Regulus that someone certainly isn't you, you bitch. After I kidnapped you and put clothes on your body, and this is the thanks I get. Before Regulus can put another wife, not wife, into the afterlife, the heroes that we've all been waiting for to kick the shit out of the door, to smack the blinding greed into the altar. It is the shonen of all shonen, Rhine Me Harder von Austria, and MC Mid Natsuki Subaru. And here they are, to NTR Greed. Well, all of that slow crescendo of positivity and going through each and every character to build towards this climactic plot point is finally here to give us a payoff. Like in the previous seasons, there was always a pretty decent gap between the ally heroes taking their L's for quite some time before transitioning into the allies getting the dub, or accumulating those dubs after that lengthy period of disastrous part of the story. While the first half of season 3 has given us both sides of the opposite spectrum of some feel-good slice of life, to Subaru and many of the other characters are just straight up taking L's, to building back up the heroes and accumulating all the characters that are on the good guy side and making us feel like everything will absolutely go their way. Whether everything works out perfectly or not is to be determined if you haven't read ahead. But on this channel, we like to give respect to the setup. You gotta live within the moment in the story and appreciate what it is doing for us, as it sets up potentially misdirection and it gets set up all types of crazy outcomes. That is what happens when you are in the meat of a very important climactic plot point, we are entering likely the best part of season 3, which is the action and all the twists and turns that can potentially happen. From feeling our utmost optimism to all the tension that can occur in the next half of season 3. This episode presented the start of one of the most important payoffs before the fighting starts to play out. Like in the previous 2 episodes, this episode for the first half shored up a lot of the plot relevant things, with Otho having the Tome of Wisdom and where he could potentially end up in the plot. It also brought back an Austria family subplot that just adds more to the ReZero lore with those corpse soldiers. With Crusch in this episode, it gives us a sense of hope. And kind of in the same way where Rem lost her memories, Crusch is in a similar scenario with the Dragon Blood, where it looks really dire to where it looks like it might be the end for the character to actually there is a glimmer of hope or Crusch. So this episode just finishes off bringing all the characters that will matter for this upcoming counterattack that will fight the Sin Archbishops. And we are finally at the very first climactic plot point with Reinhard and Subaru facing off against greed while simultaneously saving Amelia. That is the perfect end to the episode and a perfect end for the first half of season 3. And it feels so much better having Reinhard out of everyone be with Subaru, because he really does need Reinhard there as being that OP character in ReZero. So he could be the one to smash Regulus. Regulus better be prepared to be sent to the Shadow Realm, because we've all been waiting for this moment for them to finally destroy him. Yeah, the next half of the season isn't coming until middle of February. I should be in the middle of covering Frieren season 2 during that time as well, but we'll see how my schedule shapes up. But I really want to cover the second half of season 3 for ReZero. When the time comes, it will come, and hopefully there will be content there for you guys. So I hope you guys like my reviews, because I like making them. So yeah, let me know what you guys thought about this episode of ReZero, and let me know what you guys think about everything that's led up to this point as well of the first half of ReZero season 3. I would love to know. And do me a favor, hit the like button for NTR and Greed, and subscribe to the channel if you guys haven't already. Check out my blog at otakusen.com, and I appreciate you guys watching, and I'll see you guys on the next video.